Welcome fans to a special edition of Marked Out. I'm the Red Scorpion, Mike Martinez, and with all the deaths in pro wrestling over the last year, I thought I'd narrow them down to the top 5. Unfortunately, we're going to come up with 5 of them, and what we're going to do is we're going to remember them and for what their contributions were to the wrestling business, and we're going to get right into it, starting with Blackjack Mulligan. He was a great tag team performer. He was a great in-ring worker. And he was, when it comes to stiff, he was one of the best. And his gimmick was a true badass cowboy and father of Barry Windham. Everyone remembers that Barry Windham and the career that he had. Great tag team wrestler, and we want to remember him starting right off at number 1. Number 2 is Balls Mahoney. He was the chair swinging freak from ECW. He teamed up most notably with Ian Rotten, and they had an extraordinary tag team combination for quite a while there in ECW. And then of course his theme song was just hilarious, and who can forget that he hailed from Nutville, New Jersey. And he had a stint in WWE, which was pretty awesome. I thought that he definitely was the type of guy that could become a business type guy, a behind the scenes agent type guy. He was definitely the type of person that was unorthodox, but that really was his character, and that really was who he was. So we lost a great guy there. Next is the most recent one, Chyna, who passed away recently at the age of 46. And she really was a pioneer in the women's wrestling division, but realistically, she was also a huge part of the men's division in terms of D-Generation X and the Attitude Era in general. She broke a lot of boundaries for not just women, but for people in that era that were just breaking out to look to shine, and she definitely was one of those people. She got her start with DX and with Triple H, and then really just basically took the ball from there. She was the first woman to enter the Royal Rumble and the first and only woman to capture the Intercontinental Championship. So she also did hold the Women's Championship, and she posed for Playboy. So, I mean, there was some, interesting accolades that she had there. She had a great run. She had a great career. She had some turmoil towards the end of her life that ultimately consumed it. But realistically, when it comes down to what happened in the wrestling business and what mark she left on it, she definitely leaves a big one, and she's going to be missed. Next was Roddy Piper. He definitely was one of the biggest names of all time in professional wrestling, both in the NWA, WCW, and the WWE. He's done pretty much everything there is to do, captured, whatever he needed to capture, and, including the Intercontinental and US Championships. He was in main event after main event. He was feuding with some of the top guys. He wrestled some of the best, from Flair to Hogan to Savage, you name it, Bret Hart. He was definitely one of the pioneers of the rock and wrestling, but then a generation that was able to captivate a new audience in the 90s and well into towards the end of the 90s. And he definitely was a guy that just stuck around here and there and came and made his mark in WWE here and there, helping the young talent, and just he had a mouth that worked, and a lot of people like Dean Ambrose definitely will follow in his footsteps. And then finally is the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and this living legend his career speaks for itself, from Polka Dots to Pork and Beans to Dining with King and Queens. He was so instrumental, not just in the fact that he brought wrestling to a new ground, to a respectable ground, and just did a lot of, from a hard work standpoint, from a guy that's at the very bottom of the barrel, and a working man's man, and actually was one of those guys that could compete with anybody that you threw in the ring with him, had charisma, had talent, was a former world champion. He did everything that he needed to do. And then when it was time for him to step aside from the camera, he was helping all the young guys and girls, and interviews and in ring and just you name it, and he was doing it. And Dusty's credited for a lot of stuff, including in the NXT, which is most recent. And what his mark in the wrestling business that he leaves, it's one it's shoes that can never be filled, in my opinion. And so with that, we conclude our list, and I hope you enjoyed them. It was 5 of the greatest that we'll always remember. And unfortunately, under the circumstances, we have to do something like this, but we do it in retrospect, in terms of paying respect to those. So this has been the Red Scorpion, Mike Martinez, saying we'll see you next time on Marked Out.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.